So mental health is, I think, a combination of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, and your behaviors. Counseling provides a safe space for an individual to share. So this, in very simple terms, it's called the talk therapy, wherein a person can just feel free to communicate freely without a break, without any fear of being judged. To in fact first approach a counselor for any problem is much higher than a city like Jalandhar. That it's extremely important for each one of us to have a therapist, someone to talk to, someone to share. And it's different from sharing with a friend, it's different from sharing with an aunt, it's different from sharing with your parents.
Hello everyone, welcome to our show Talk on Call, and today we have chosen a very unique topic, and that is counseling. People don't prefer talking about counseling, but counseling is very important in our lives. So to talk about more about counseling, we have counseling psychologist Mrs. Pallavi Khanna. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Parna.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So ma'am, before we talk about counseling, can you please tell us that how do you provide your services to the youth?
Okay, so I've been in the field of counseling psychology since 1991 when I graduated from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And ever since then, I've been working with NGOs in the field of mental health, and I've been also giving my services to different health institutions and educational institutions. So these are the broad areas where I feel people need help and people are in need of mental health services.
Okay, so to talk about counseling now, what exactly is counseling?
Parina, I'd like to take that question in two parts. First, I would like to tell you about how, when we're talking about mental health, what exactly, constitutes mental health. So mental health is, I think, a combination of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, and your behaviors. So human beings have this very unique gift of not only having a very, very strong and powerful memory, wherein they can constantly remember what has happened to them in the past, but they're also visualizing and imagining a future.
Right.
So when there is a constant, moving between the past and that of focusing on some very painful and anxious events that have happened in the past, and when a person finds that that past is constantly affecting the present moment, or when the present moment is constantly kind of imagining a dreadful future. So this is how basically mental health of a person gets impacted.
Right.
When the person is just not living in an awareness of the present moment, but constantly fluctuating between either the past or the future, and imagining all kinds of fears, worries, and all kinds of, and living in a constant state of dread. So now coming to what counseling is, counseling provides a safe space for an individual to share. So this, in very simple terms, it's called the talk therapy,
Right.
Wherein a person can just feel free to communicate freely without a break, without any fear of being judged, without any fear that the information that a person is sharing is going to be leaked out. So in a very confidential, safe, non-judgmental setting, a person can share, can talk, and at the same time get awareness of how the person's life is constantly being influenced by events either of the past or the future. So the person is allowed to share, and through the sharing, the person kind of comes to know about himself better. So there's heightened self-awareness, there's a better sense of self-concept, self-identity, which totally, like, I'll give you an example. Consider a child who has grown up with over strict parents, over strict teachers, always told that this is wrong, what you're doing is wrong, or what you've done is not correct. So this person and if for example at times also children see fights at home, or and they have abusive kind of elders. So imagine the impact of such a environment on the mind of a child. Now this child is an adult. As an adult, his sense of self is going to be totally skewed towards a very negative notion of himself, wherein he is going to believe that what other people have told me about myself is true, and he has never questioned it. So in counseling, the person is given that sense of security, wherein he can question all the notions and beliefs that he holds about himself, about people in his life, and he can actually see that he can have a healthier relationship with not only himself but with others, and also live a more positive and peaceful life.
Right. So if I talk about the people, what percentage of people prefer counseling?
Counseling is something, see, when I've been in this field for the last 3 decades. So when I started off, of course, I was working in cities like Bombay and Delhi, and the acceptance towards counseling, the acceptance that to in fact first approach a counselor for any problem is much higher than a city like Jalandhar. In fact, when I started work here, Parina, nobody had heard of this word counseling.
Okay.
No one was aware of how counseling can help you. And I remember going to every institution or clubs like Rotary and Inner Wheel and everywhere, whichever platform people would want to listen about what counseling is. I would go there and give a lecture and make people aware that it's extremely important for each one of us to have a therapist, someone to talk to, someone to share, and it's different from sharing with a friend, it's different from sharing with an aunt, it's different from sharing with your parents, because there that the judgment will never go away. So it's a completely different experience, and I completely support and encourage that everyone should have a personal therapist and should go for counseling.
And how will counseling change a person's behavior?
As I said, that your behaviors are totally influenced by your thoughts and feelings.
Right.
So by making you aware of how, because you felt upset and because you thought, for example, I thought that my parents are comparing me to a friend. And so the thought that comes to my mind and a conclusion that I will make in my mind is my parents don't love me and they don't appreciate me.
Right.
That will result in a feeling of, a little bit of negative feeling towards oneself, that I'm not good enough, and anger towards parents that they have never accepted me for what I am. So now and this example why I'm giving you, it's very common. And look at the flow of thoughts from the thought, that's the trigger, to the feeling that I'm not good enough, to anger towards parents, which is the behavior. So imagine a scenario wherein parents are coming and approaching a child and just saying, how was your day? And the child just shuts the door and says, you never care about me, you don't bother about me, what do you know how I am and how tough my life is? And the child just shuts and bangs the door and sits himself and isolates himself from the family. So this is how, and then communication in family is just, it gets worse and worse and worse, with people not understanding why someone is getting angry, why somebody is reacting in a manner that is so inexplicable. So this is how it all snowballs, and eventually you find dysfunctional families, dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional people. So this is how it all.
So we can say it's more on assumptions.
Completely beliefs, assumptions, and it's actually false beliefs and false kind of knowledge that one keeps building up through stories that we keep, so and so friend did not speak well to me in school, so she doesn't like me, so maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I'm not popular. So so this is how we spiral into a kind of from one negative story in our head to the other, and so each human being is just the sum total of all the stories that we have about ourselves in our life.
Exactly. So which are the areas where counseling actually helps?
Relationships.
Right.
I think most importantly is relationship with your own self, relationship with your family, and then relationship, even your love relationships, even when you get married, as a couple. So conflict, basically unresolved conflict that you're carrying as a child, and then you carry it when you're an adult, and then you carry it forward in all your relationships. So as I said, you used a very nice word, assumption. So then you continue living life based on those assumptions.
Right.
That the world is not a good place, nobody loves me, nobody values me, I don't value my own self. So relationships, I think, really benefit from counseling, where a person can really be taught how to improve relationship with oneself and other people, improve communication, become better people, more confident, achieve more in life, become more productive overall. So these are the different areas, and of course it also helps in cases of anxiety, eating disorders, OCDs,
Right.
or phobias. So different kinds, and then borderline personality disorders, self-harm, even thoughts of suicide. So I would say counseling really helps all over in all these different fields.
Right. Like you talked about suicide. Do you think counseling can prevent suicide?
Absolutely, because see, counseling basically helps you get more in touch with yourself and your feelings and your thoughts. So there's a technique in counseling which is REBT,
Okay.
in which you help the person to rationalize his thoughts. So irrational thoughts basically cause emotional kind of dissonance within the person, cognitive dissonance within the person, and then all this built up kind of negative thoughts in the person drives the person to an extreme step wherein he wants to punish himself by just ending his life. So actually, this is a call for help, and people will really reach out to their family members or people who love them. Many times they will give signals before actually taking the final step, though
Yes.
it's an impulsive decision, but there is a lot of turmoil and built up within the person, emotional turbulence within the person. It's just a question of looking for the signs. So if the person reaches out for help to a professional therapist, the person can really be worked through all these negative feelings, emotions, thoughts, beliefs, assumptions that he has about himself and his world, and he can really be made, given a lot of mindfulness techniques, a lot of emotional calming techniques, and a lot of different skills to cope with stress in his life. So really, I mean, I would say that whenever I see in the newspaper about somebody who has taken his or her life, and normally it's a young person,
Yeah.
so I really feel bad, because this is completely preventable. This is all the person has to do is just reach out. There are so many helplines, mental health helplines. All a person has to do is reach out and take and ask for help, and help is always there. So it's just a question of awareness, as you said, that through channels like yours, I think if you spread the word around, build awareness in society about the role of counseling, how everyone should take counseling. There is absolutely no stigma attached to it, and it is not as if that somebody is going to judge you if you're going to a counselor. So all these are old notions.
Exactly.
Now this is the new age. Everyone wants guidance. Everyone wants to know how to lead a better life, and everyone wants to be happy. So I think that now there is more acceptance to counseling,
Yes.
and it has whole, I would say, the picture overall has changed, not only all over the country, but if I just look at Punjab, I think yes, now there are so many colleges that are actually offering training programs in the field of counseling, which was not there
Right.
couple
And
of
people
decades
have
back.
accepted that mental health is
Absolutely,
important.
every school has, it's compulsory now to have a counselor, and every hospital has a counselor. So yes, there is more acceptance towards counseling, and I think it's much needed. It changes your
Yes.
life, it teaches you to live a better life, to think in a better way, to feel more positively about yourself. So overall, I would say that yes, counseling is a must for everyone.
Right. So which are the different counseling specializations?
As I said, school counseling, then health counseling, health psychology, you have in educational setups. Then there is this new field called life coaching,
Yeah.
which is basically to teach you about your patterns of thinking, and how all of us actually invite failures in our life by not recognizing those patterns, and we continue to do the wrong things all over again, time and again. So changing and breaking those patterns, by using techniques like journaling, and other techniques that life coaches use, so you can become more successful, you can become more aware of yourself, you can become more mindful of yourself. So then there is something called industrial psychology, organizational psychology, which is making the workplace a better place to live.
Okay.
So which is reducing stress in the workplace.
So is there any
So
specific
different.
technique also?
Yeah, there are many techniques. I spoke about REBT, which is rational
Right.
emotive behavior therapy. There's also CBT, very popularly used, which is cognitive behavior therapy, which again is helping you kind of synchronize thoughts, feelings, and behavior, and teaching you better coping skills. Then there's dialectical behavior therapy, which is used for borderline personality disorder patients, which again is more of helping the person develop more tolerance towards stress, and increasing the stress tolerance levels, and developing better relationships with not only others but one's own self. So a lot of people with anger management issues, eating disorders, they can really get a lot of benefit of DBT. So these are some of the techniques. Of course, I would say client-focused therapy, which is which was given by Carl Rogers, is something which is really being used in the field of psychology since a very long time, wherein the counselor is totally tuned towards what the client wants to share, and is not putting in any of the technique, but rather just allowing a safe space for the person to share and come out with his own solutions.
Right.
So so these are some of the techniques, Parina.
Do you think a person who's really depressed will prefer going to a counselor, or would prefer listening to a counselor?
That's a great question. So there is this, which every counselor should know, that when is it the time that you should tell your client that you need help from a psychiatrist.
Right.
So this is all thanks to the training that we've got, wherein we realize that an eclectic approach or a balanced approach is needed towards towards helping a person overcome an issue like depression, because here it is, we need to understand, Parina, that the person doesn't want to think negative things. The person doesn't want to harm herself or himself. The person doesn't want to commit suicide. The person doesn't want to leave work and feel worthless and doubt himself and sit in a corner and not talk to anybody. The person doesn't want all this. So this is a mental illness.
Right.
So I think recognizing when it is just a behavioral issue and when it's an illness, so I think this is something that comes with training and experience, and so we are really aware of these, and it's given to us in our training and in our internships that we do. So we are aware, and we in fact refer a lot of patients to psychiatrists.
So a person should go to a psychiatrist first or a counselor first?
I think either way. So how it's been with me is, I have a lot of patients referred by psychiatrists to me when they realize that the person needs more of behavioral change and coping skills and kind of cognitive therapy and emotional therapy, feeling better about himself. So a lot of patients are referred to me by psychiatrists, and similarly I refer a lot of my patients to psychiatrists when I feel that along with talking, explaining and listening and sharing, the person also needs a little bit of medicine.
Right.
So it's an eclectic approach, it's a balanced approach, and it has to remain like that.
Right. So it was lovely having you with us. Any message you would like to give to the youth or to our viewers?
I would say that this is a very strange and a very unprecedented time that we are all in, and all of us are going through immense collective pain and grief, and a lot of us have lost something, either a very close family member, or we've lost a dear friend, or we've lost a job. So this is an anxious and uncertain and painful period. So my message to everyone would be to really be grounded and connect with yourself. Practice whatever helps you, whether it's meditation, whether it's just sitting and listening to some calm music, but definitely spending a little time on your inner self and being in touch with yourself, knowing yourself and knowing what calms you. I think this is something that each one of us needs to learn and prioritize. We need to prioritize our mental health and do understand that if it's getting too overwhelming for you, if it's getting too much for you and you feel that you can't cope, please reach out for help. And so I think there are many mental health helplines which have been started by the government and a lot of NGOs. So please reach out for help and talk to somebody who you think can help you. So I think together we can all come out of this.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
Thank
It
you,
was lovely
Parina.
having you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section or message us personally, and we'll make sure that Mrs. Pallavi answers them all. So stay tuned and keep watching True Scoop and take care of yourself.